Why does our environment need protecting? Our environment consists of all living and non-living things surrounding us on Earth, known as biotic and abiotic factors. The sun, water, and temperature would all be examples of abiotic factors. Some biotic factors would include humans, animals, and plants. Therefore, our environment is the space in which we live our lives, and we depend upon it for survival. The cycle of life is continual, where life and death are natural processes in every environment in order to keep the cycle going. Every environment has a carrying capacity, which is the amount of life an environment can support. Factors that can affect an environment's carrying capacity include space, resources such as food and water available, competition, and predator and prey relationships. Children often hold the misconception that all animals in an ecosystem get along and don't always like to realize the food chain is an important cycle. All living things are interconnected and dependent upon one another for survival at some level, and both can be negatively impacted by environmental changes. Children also hold the misconception that the environment is not dynamic, when in fact it can change and be negatively affected by humans and natural processes. Overconsumption is one example of how we can negatively affect our environment. For example, if we use more land to grow more food, then we are depleting the soil of nutrients and are therefore over-farming the land, most likely harming our soil from the fertilizer, creating potentially harmful drinking water from the runoff of fertilizer into nearby water supplies, and taking away livable space for ecosystems that may have operated within that space. Just one action that seems so small to humans can have wide and devastating effects on the surrounding environment and its inhabitants. Not only can overfarming and overconsumption negatively affect an environment, but also overpopulation and industrialization. Though big cities have provided jobs and livable space for many, they have also harmed and in some cases destroyed many ecosystems. Heavily populated cities produce a lot of pollution through trash, carbon monoxide emissions from vehicles, and in most cases have contributed to completely destroying any natural ecosystem that used to exist. Because of this, the air, land, and water surrounding these big cities is usually polluted. A side effect of population growth is the demand and need for more resources. The resources we use have negative and positive implications for living and non-living things. We have mastered the dependency on resources and in some cases have harmed the environment to use them. Some of these resources are renewable and some are non-renewable, yet we still depend on them. Non-renewable fossil fuels such as oil, natural gas, and coal have become essential to human existence. In order to make use of them, we have to extract them from the ground. Some negative side effects of doing so include possibly harming existing vegetation, which would lead to soil erosion, destroying natural landscapes, displacing wildlife, and destroying habitats, and the possibility of waste and byproducts seeping into the water supply and negatively impacting human health. The use of these fossil fuels may be essential to us as of now, but the side effects are harmful and dangerous to our whole earthly environment, and they won't be around forever. Children don't always understand how much we rely on these resources or how negatively they can impact our lives. So what do? We have become dependent on these non-renewable resources to survive, and some of them present real harm to our environment. Possible solutions include driving less to lessen carbon emissions, using natural fertilizers, recycling, cleaning up environments which have been harmed, reforestation efforts, and encouraging the use of renewable resources like solar energy and windmill farms. Other alternative energy options such as hydroelectric energy and the use of biofuels are also important options to consider. Although there are still some negative effects associated with the alternative sources, they are renewable. Though the cost of these renewable and alternative options is usually the biggest complaint, we must ask ourselves, is there any cost too high in order to reverse the effects and save our environment?